What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Kenny Tunison here, and I'm bringing to you part 2 of this series that I'm calling Building the Classic Physique. All right, how to build an aesthetic, classic looking physique that prioritizes symmetry, proportion above just sheer mass. So episode 1, I covered how I built my chest, and in this episode, it's going to be how I developed my back. So let's get right into it. All right, now the first workout that I always do for back is going to be the low pulley row. You guys can do pretty much any row movement that you want to, that you like to, that you enjoy doing. I just like doing the low pulley row because I like how much it locks me into place and I can just focus on contracting the muscle. And that is pretty much the most important thing about this movement. I know that pumping iron has made just moving the weight around on this workout a very popular and mainstream thing to do. And when I do it the pumping iron way, I can get up to like, mid 200s, right? Low 200 pounds, maybe 240 or whatever, and just throw the weight around. But how much are we really working the muscle that we want to work? Not very much, right? We're using our whole body to just throw the weight around, and you're not getting the most out of the movement, which is why I do it this way. You guys can see in the video, I am actually pushed forward a little bit, all right, as much as I can without causing discomfort in my back. And I'm literally just stretching my arms forward and pulling back. I am not jerking the weight at all, because I find when I jerk the weight, I'm not working the muscle nearly as much as when I don't. You guys can see the form right here. It's very controlled, and that's the way I like it. And I only just started doing these like this a few months ago after finding a picture of Steve Reeves doing the same workout and also hearing him explain how he performed this workout. And it is exactly like the way I'm showing you right now. All right, body slightly lean forward. You can have your legs slightly bent a little bit at the knees, but not too much. And just focusing on stretching the lats forward, not stretching too much, and just contracting it back. And of course, like all movements, when you drop the weight and actually focus on working the muscle, you're going to find that you're actually very, very weak, or at least much weaker than you thought you were. I was doing, like I told you, 185 pounds to about 220 pounds on the weight stack when I was doing it, we'll just call it the pumping iron way, when you're just throwing the weight around like Arnold was in that video, to this, where I'm doing 145 pounds max. Now, this brings me to the second workout that I do, and that is going to be the pull-up. I don't add any weight for this. I just do them body weight because I found that I don't need to add any weight to get a good workout out of these. I'm doing a wide grip. You guys can see the grip right here. It's right where my pull-up bar kind of bends down. So fairly wide grip here, and that's the way I like doing it. I am a firm believer in training wide to build a wider appearance, which is what I'm all about, that V-taper. Now, when it comes to form for the pull-up, this is very, very important. You want to make sure that you're retracting your scapula and bringing your chest to the bar, all right? It's going to look something like this. You guys can see here, I'm not just going straight up and down. I'm trying to actively push my back together, angle my chest up. You guys can see right here, instead of just pulling straight up, I want to go straight up, like this, like so, all right? And I find that when I do that, I don't go all the way down. I just stop right before I reach that bottom stretch and then go back up. That's when my lats feel the most engaged. And of course, you want to make sure on the, all the fitness guys call it the eccentric, but I just call it the way down. I'm not really big on those terms, but you want to make sure you're going in a controlled manner. All right, I'm not going to tell you to go, 3, 2, 1, down and up. I don't really care about that stuff, but I do care about controlling the weight that you're moving, and in this scenario, your own body weight, right? We want to control it and really feel those lats going to work. Alrighty, on to the third back movement that I do, and this might surprise some of you, but it's going to be the behind the neck lat pull down. I don't really care for the straight up lat pull down, and that's because I've just done the pull-ups beforehand. It's basically the same movement, right? There's no need to go there. Now, you might be asking, why behind the neck lat pull down? Why not something else? Well, I don't feel my lats as good on any other movement that I've ever done than on this. You know, the lat engagement, if you do it the right way, for me at least, is just far superior, again, than any other movement I've ever done. You guys can see the video right here. The lats just look great, all right? And they feel great when I'm doing it. I really feel that mind-muscle connection. And I don't really go too heavy on these. I mean, I'll do like 135 pounds, control the weight, all right, on the way down, on the way up, and it feels great, all right? It's very hard to explain the behind the neck lat pull down, but this was actually a silver era favorite. And a lot of guys from the golden era actually did this as well. And it's kind of become like this lost movement that no one really does anymore. Everyone just does the straight up lat pull down or a pull up, which are good movements, but I think the behind the neck lat pull down is far superior. Another question some of you might be asking yourselves is, why am I doing pretty much two pull up movements, right? Two lat movements that work the width of the back. Why not two row movements? All right. And the answer to that is simple. I think my rowing movements have built up my back pretty much. Okay. The thickness of my back is definitely better than the width, which is why now I'm focusing a lot more on the width than the thickness. If you're in the other boat, right, you want to work more on the thickness, not so much the width, then of course you can do two row movements, because the row movements, they're going to get your back very thick. All right, and I do want to touch on rep ranges briefly. Now, the rep ranges don't really matter that much for hypertrophy. As long as you're doing over 8 reps, 2 to 3 sets to failure, you're going to build muscle. All right, if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, right? But for the low pulley row, I always do 3 working sets and 1 warm-up set. So the 3 working sets, I'll do, let's say, 145 pounds for 10 or 11 reps. Then I'll do that weight again, usually for 9 or 10 reps. And then I'll go down about 15, maybe 10 pounds, and I'll do 130 or 135 for, let's say, 11 reps again, or sometimes I'll get 12. Okay, just feeling the muscle here. All right, not trying to stroke my ego at all. Like I said before, just feeling the muscle, feeling the stimulus, and training balls to the wall. Now the pull-up's quite different, and that's because I'm controlling the pull-up now. I used to just throw myself around so I could get a lot of reps. I can get pretty high up there. Now I'll do the first set to about 9 reps, maybe 8. I lost a lot of strength on that, but that's what happens when you actually control yourself on the way down on the movement and try to engage the lats as much as possible. And then I'll do 4 more sets after that first one. So 5 total sets I'll do of body weight pull-ups, and they are all to failure. Pretty much as many as possible until my form breaks down and I can't do any more. So it'll go like something similar to this. It'll go 9 or 8 reps for set number 1. Then it'll go 7 reps, set number 2. Sometimes I'll get 7 reps again for set number 3. And then usually it's like 6 and 5, or 6 and 6, or 5 and 5 on the last 2. And then right after those 5 sets of pull-ups, I'll hop right on the behind the neck lat pull down. And I usually don't have to do a warm-up for this because I just did pull-ups, so I'll just hop right into the 3 working sets, and I'll do about 135, maybe 130 for the first set, and then I'll drop every single set, 10 pounds, and just work on the lats. All right, again, don't care too much about the weight here. But this brings me to the 4th and final back workout that I do, and this is also going to be an old school movement that nobody does anymore, and that is going to be the dumbbell pullover. Okay, I lie flat on the bench here. You guys can see the footage, and I only do 1 set, okay? And it's kind of like my own version of the breathing pullover from the silver era. If you guys know, you know. You can watch a whole other video on that. I know guys like Golden Era Bookworm talk about this movement, and quite a few other guys who enjoy the silver era. But it's 1 set of 20 reps, and I only use a 40-pound dumbbell. And the old school guys, they used to do 5 deep breaths. Yes, that's right, 5 deep breaths every single rep, between every single rep when they got up to the top. And they believe that this worked the rib cage, right? Expanded the rib cage to make the chest appear bigger, also the lats appear a little bigger. And I don't do it exactly like that. I only do 1 deep breath between every single rep, and it's pretty much just like a vacuum I'm doing. You guys can see here I'm focusing a lot on the breathing, and I'm also focusing a lot on the lat stretch, all right? Because your lats, they get stretched out quite a bit on this movement. and I just love doing it. I found good results doing it. I love this movement, and I do actually believe that it does expand the rib cage a little bit, and you know, I'm all about that, right? The V shape, want to make sure the chest and the upper back can look as big as possible to go down to that slim, tapered waist. Now, when it comes to frequency, I am doing this back day on every single upper body day. So what are my upper days? My upper days are Mondays and Thursdays. Okay, I usually have 2 or 3 days off between, and it goes something like this. All right, I'll start with shoulders, which is going to be part 3. So I'm not gonna really touch on that yet. I'll start with shoulders, then I'll go to chest, and then I'll do the 4 back workouts that I just talked about, and then I'll do some abs and cardio after, but that's for like part 7 or 8. Okay, so you guys gotta wait for that one. But twice a week, that's how I like it, and a lot of volume, okay? You guys might be thinking a lot of volume, but I have pretty much mastered my recovery to where I don't feel like shit if I do that much volume, okay? But that is all I got for you guys today. May God bless you all, and I hope you enjoyed this video.